Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Cooking with Big Mark. After a holiday hiatus, we are back with some saucy advice from Dad.
Okay, you took my first line away. I was going to say it's a saucy segment. That's all right. That doesn't change it any. Uh, with this circumstance that we're living under now, COVID has sort of, I think, changed people's either approach to or interpretation of what food should be. I think for two reasons. One is from the health aspect of it. People now are trying to eat much more in healthy fashion. And secondly, being contained in homes now, you can't go out to eat. And a lot of people go out to eat because they want to eat things that they can't prepare themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, that gives them a diversion from the mundane foods that they may or may not be served on a daily basis. However, when you get into sauces now, people are trying to jazz the stuff up, the normal things they eat, to make them a little different out of a sense of boredom, I suppose, if nothing else. So that one of the big things that can make this effective changing things are sauces. And I have therefore today I can talk about two categories of sauces. One called simple sauces, and the other called silly sauces. The simple sauces really are just ones that are made where butter plays a big part. And the first one I'll talk about is those made with soft butters. Now, I always have about a quarter of a stick of butter out. I leave it out on the counters. A lot of people come in and get horrified that I'm leaving butter out, but butter does not spoil outside. And those of you who are older, I remember the old Kennedy butter and egg stores where they'd have about 100-pound block of butter sitting on a bench. And we never go inside. It was out all the time. In France, everywhere else, wheels of cheese were out all the time. Refrigeration just wasn't important to those periods. So people go. So I leave the butter out. It's soft. I keep it covered. Have a little covered butter dish, but for spreading on toast and everything else. The other aspect of it is doing what I call soft sauces, and these would be when you cut through sautéing meat or fish or everything else, and it's sitting around for a minute, relaxing, and the case of meat, sort of bring the juices back in. You can take the soft butter and mix it with all kinds of things like mustard, like Worcestershire sauce, garlic, herbs, any flavors you like. And you just mix it like a couple of tablespoons full. And then when your meat is sitting there, you just coat it like a little glaze on top of the meat, and you get a whole new flavor and a whole new dimensional flavor very easily and very simple. And that soft butter sauces, that's how they work. Any combination of flavors you like can be put into them. And the beauty of it is, with the soft butter, is you do it a la minute. There's no waiting. The flavor's ready. It doesn't have to go anywhere. The second one be what I call those done with cold butter. And these, when you're pan sauteing, again, mostly I'd say meats, but because the idea of a meat is in the pan longer and it builds up the fond, the little flavor things on the basis, on the bottom of the pan. But it can be for fish or vegetables as well. And when you take, again, say a steak out or a pork chop or something else, and or any other combination of meats, and let it sit for a minute. And again, they talk to you when you're dealing with meat, you leave it up because what happens is the juices that you've forced out with heat sort of get absorbed back in again. And while that's happening, you just take your pan. Now, if there's a lot of residue fat from whatever, for example, in a pork chop, I would get rid of some of that, but you want to keep some of it because fat is flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Then what you do with that is hit it with any kind of liquid, usually wines, white wine, red wine. It can be stock, could be fruit juices, it could be whatever. And what you do is put a little in, like maybe 2 or 3 ounces. That's all. You scrape the bottom of the pan to get all those little tasty bits off the bottom. And you get that, and then you bring it to a boil, and you want to reduce it down to intensify the flavor, number one, but also to develop a little viscosity so that it becomes more saucy like. Then when you get it down to the consistency you want, like a syrupy little consistency, take it off the heat and take pieces of cold butter. Now this should be cold butter, not the soft butter again. and you put 2 or 3 knobs. The old days they used to call them knobs of butter. I never knew what the hell a knob was, but basically it's a new butter patch. You can put a couple of tablespoons in one at a time, and you just stir it around slowly so it develops an emulsion. And that's, you find the sauce thick a little bit, but you get that nice mouthfeel of smoothness. And put that over everything, fish, vegetables, whatever. Again, very quick, very easy. The health aspect of it is what you're avoiding now is trying to enhance the flavors and going from the normal to the, to the memorable, I guess would be another way of doing it. And you're avoiding a lot of heavy cream and flour-based sauces, and so that makes it healthy, but you still get the same bang for your buck taste-wise. Then we go to silly sauces. Now these are ones that I used to indulge in that I can't say are as helpful because I use them with various kinds of sausage, knockwurst, bratwurst, kielbasa, or anything. I love sausages, but they aren't the healthiest things in the world to some respects because they're processed, but to me, they're still worth it. And as Julie would do it, you don't overdo things. You can, everything in moderation. They're fine. But these sauces, one that I had, my brother and I used to love, we called silly sauce, was 1/3 French mayonnaise, yellow mustard, French yellow mustard, mayonnaise, and 1/3 ketchup, those 3 things. You mix them together, and it's almost like a Thousand Island thing, but the mustard gives it a little different piquancy. And you put a little Worcestershire, a little vinegar on that. It also enhances it again, if you know from the previous segments that we've done. And that's great with knockwurst especially. Then we added another, I think, we used to cook bacon and then break it up in little bits and put the bits of bacon in the silly sauce and have that with knockwurst. And that was always what we consider a heavenly lunch.
For those who aren't familiar with knockwurst, Dad, what precisely is it?
Say that again.
Knockwurst.
Knockwurst is a German hot dog. Most sausages originated in Germany, Europe and Germany, and it's a pork sausage, usually fatter and chunkier than a hot dog would be, and it's just a very rich, has a nice rich flavor. But then another combination of things that I also use now, I always keep a jar full of, is a combination of Howard, the store brand is Howard's Piccalilli, and Goulden's regular mustard, and I mix that sort of half and half, and that's another great thing to put on against sauce, kielbasa, or any other kinds of sauces. Then, of course, there's the mayonnaise enhancements, which you get mayonnaise. When I get a lot of extra basil or a lot of extra dill or something else, I take it and put it in the Cuisinart, and with a jar of mayonnaise, and it could be onion, it could be roast garlic, whatever, and I just make my own flavored mayonnaise. It could be lemon, a lemon mayonnaise, lemon and dill. It could be almost any combinations. Again, a little bit of extra vinegar, or Worcestershire, salt and pepper sort of gives that a flavor. So then when you're making a sandwich with any other kinds of meats, it just gives it another dimension of flavor to it. And the final one I call it plate sauce. So when I cook steak, when I'm waiting for it to cook, I'll take some soft butter that we originally talked about, spread a little bit in the plate. Then I have this horseradish cream that I buy. I forget the name of it, but it's a national brand. Put a few squirts of that down. Then when the steak comes out, I place it on top of it, and the butter melts, and I put a little bit of A1 on top. Then I let it sit. Then I turn it over and makes its own little sauce. Again, very tasty. Very, very, very different. And all these things do just it gives you, it makes the normal food that you eat and help raise its taste level and sort of gets you on the way to these umami moments people talk about, where the flavors are much more fulsome and enjoyable. And you can take what we have now, and especially in these COVID times, to enhance it and make the dining a little more enjoyable and something to look forward to with all these changes that you're able to make in very simple ways.
All right. Well, as the theme is fun and different, instead of wine today, we are going to do a bottle conditioned Belgian style triple. This is Le Fan du Monde. This is from Quebec. what bottle conditioning means is very similar to carbonation in sparkling wine. You know, your average Budweiser would be analogous to the Charmat method. You know, it's forced carbon dioxide. It's not naturally occurring. That's certainly how you would keg beer. But bottle conditioning, like champagne, is essentially a second fermentation in the bottle. And the triple style is higher in alcohol, started out by the Trappist monks, and that higher alcohol level gives it a lot of body, which makes it a great companion indeed to things like steak and sausages, much like the alcohol level in a Cabernet Sauvignon. Plus, you know, all the nice acid notes and all the esters you get from Belgian beer, although of course this is brewed in Quebec. So you've got a lovely bready nose. It really does have that Belgian characteristic to it. And you just get all sorts of neat tropical fruit notes, hazelnut, a lot of nuttiness. Really a great companion to rich food. So this has been Cooking with Big Mark. Thanks for tuning in again, and happy 2021.
Likewise, I'm sure.